Tonight, we get another chapter of that budding rivalry, Victor Wembanyama and Chet Holmgren. It's right here on ESPN. So let's go out to Oklahoma City, where our reporter covering the Spurs, Michael C. Wright, is. Michael, we know Victor, right? He is the ultimate competitor. So I'm curious, what happens when you bring up Chet to Victor?
Well, Chet is not exactly Candyman, but Victor will not even say the man's name.
Wow.
And that's pretty much been the theme ever since Victor Wembanyama arrived in San Antonio. Malika, let me give you an example. Monday night, we specifically asked Victor Wembanyama about the matchup with Chet Holmgren. This is what he said. He said, "I'm excited to get back to winning ways. It's always a good challenge to play Oklahoma City." And he said he watched every one of Oklahoma City's games. Now, what you didn't hear was Chet, Holmgren. He does not mention the guy's name. And I think it's because, that there is a real budding rivalry here. And on both sides, both of those guys are trying to take the attention away from the rivalry and put it specifically on the teams, Oklahoma City and San Antonio. That's what's going on these days. But I'm telling you, that they do not like each other. They respect each other, but you'll see it manifest itself on the court. It's going to be an intense game. And Malika, let me also add, though, that Monday night when we saw Victor Wembanyama after the game, he had a little face of the sniffles. He was kind of putting his nose in his shirt to keep from sneezing on everybody. So that's something worth keeping an eye on tonight. He might be a little down. He said he's a little under the weather.
Okay, well, hopefully we get to see this rivalry in full form because it is one of the best in the NBA right now. Michael, thank you so very much. I know those two guys won't say each other's names maybe, but we are going to right here as we go in the bonus because Oklahoma City is the favorite to win the West and really has good reason. Since last season, they've won 6 straight games by 15 or more. That's tied for the second longest streak in NBA history. And then on the flip side, the Spurs, they're trying to figure out their offensive approach, right? San Antonio is 28th in scoring and 3-point attempts in 2024, and that just isn't a recipe for winning, as you can see over here. So these two teams will be battling it out for years to come, right? The Thunder, they're the youngest team in the league, and the Spurs are the third youngest. Of course, Chris Paul, Harrison Barnes are bringing up that average just a little bit. So those are the teams, but we know folks are coming for the stars. Here's those ages I was mentioning. So let's go stargazing here. Perk, you take Chet. Chene, why don't you kick us off with Wemby's offensive versatility? Uh-oh.
Oh, yeah. It's time for Family Feud. I'm his sis. He's my brother.
You ain't learned
Are we going to duke it out?
You ain't learned from yesterday about going against me. You already owe me some fixes.
Calm down. What I love about this matchup, it's like that Spider-Man meme. Can you do it with me?
I can't.
Them knees ain't that good? It's all right. I'm about to smack you with this. So I'm going to start with Victor Wembanyama and why I think he can have a big game. Let's go with offensively because we all know this guy. I mean, it's now a new age kind of lob city between Chris Paul and Victor in the paint. But when your star player is doing this at 7'3", 7'4", 7'5", you're on an island. Look at this. Push off, step back, 2 players. Dylan Brooks, Dylan the villain, has to come out of nowhere. People are open. Guess what? It doesn't matter. He's still able. You see that right there? Knock down the 3 offensively.
That's all cute. 7'5", being able to go between your legs, has his step back 3. But this man right here, he's been nasty to the point that I've called him the white version of Kevin Garnett. And offensively, I want you to see the growth. Coming out, setting the screen. You know who he worked out with this summer? One of the greatest scorers of all time, and Kevin Durant. I want you to look at this little in the paint, turnaround, one-legged, Dirk KD shot right here over the middle, playing his role to the T. We know his ability to be able to pick and pop, pick and roll. This is Chet Holmgren, ladies and gentlemen.
I have one question. Come here. I want the rest of the world to see this, okay? Because I'm taking Victor again. Yeah. Who did you pick for Defensive Player of the Year this year?
Yeah, that was preseason prediction.
No. Who did you pick?
I picked Victor.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Let's talk about Victor's defense because we're going to back this thing up. Look at his defense. He's guarding Alpi, Şengün. I don't know why we had to do this with my Rockets, but still, he's guarding the 3-point shooter. Somehow he does like a 180 and is able to see Mouse in the house with Chris Paul and come and smack that. That is your candidate for Defensive Player of the Year.
Yeah, but here's a guy that's going to be on his heels. Again, not taking anything away from Victor and what he's able to do, but Chet is like anything you could do, I could do better. Here's Chet Holmgren, 7'1", actually guarding Trae Young, who's one of the most skilled point guards in the game. Guarding, and you talk about recovering, look at his head on the swivel, on his high horse to get back to the paint, to anchor that defense. This is what OKC need, especially with Isaiah Hartenstein being out. Right now, Chet Holmgren is the guy I'm rolling with.
Okay, I hear you, Perk. See, at the end of the day, one team is light years away from another.
Does this mean we get to decide? We get to do one of these with the breakdowns? Because I think Janae, at least breakdown-wise, I mean,
yeah.
She brought the...
Yeah,
she brought the thunder.
Oh, thunder.
You know what I'm saying?
I brought the receipts.
But since we're talking about defense, it does feel like a losing battle, though, to try to guard someone who's 7'5" with an 8-foot wingspan. Bobby, is there any blueprint here for that?
I saw some kryptonite in that Rocket game. And what we saw was Dillon Brooks, a smaller defender, guarding Victor Wembanyama and pushing him out on the perimeter. In the first game when they played Houston, we saw Alperen Sengun, Jock Landale, bigs guarding Wembanyama here. And look, certainly pushing him out there, as you see, forcing shots, turning it over. Victor shot 2 of 6 when Dillon Brooks guarded him in that game, and one of his least efficient games right there.
Well, maybe that's a blueprint.
But that's what's in the scouting report. Get physical with Victor Wembanyama and live with contested twos and contested threes. Get him from outside the paint. That's why I'm not high on him showing his bag too much on that perimeter. He could keep it simple, especially with a guy like he has in CP3.
Yeah, as excited as I am for Victor Wembanyama, I do think in some ways Chet has that edge because we've already seen how he's being so intentional with his physicality. But there's no one else that's better to test that with than Victor Wembanyama. We've seen his game. He's like scoring a lot of paint points. He's not just falling in love with the perimeter shot, and that's what we've sort of seen from Victor. Nonetheless, it's popcorn basketball.
Popcorn.
Don't you like that? It's popcorn? It's popcorn. It's popcorn basketball.
Wanna try to boast at what I look like. Think I'm gonna try to wear, I pull up all brains. Jimmy with the heat, I'm on fire. It's NBA over here,